that there was any physical contact with anyone. She just wakes up and finds that something has been done on her body, and that results into a conception. Amen. Amina. Satan always works so much to enter a bloodline and plant a seed that will destroy that bloodline. Did you hear me? A seed in the blood with the intention that a time will come.
Okay. On the right side of the road, do not go wrong way. Do not go wrong way.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only James Williams, Dark Waters, and I'm back. And we continue our deep dive into what's going on in this nation. And I'm going to start with this foolishness about indigo children. It's amazing to me, once you completely understand that there are different spiritual civilizations in this earth, then you go and find where they have renamed these civilizations of people and the traits of those civilizations of people, and then turned it to be something positive. And the Bible says, woe unto you who turn evil good and good evil. And it's amazing because it's been right in front of everyone's face. And this ties into what's going on in politics. But we're going to start with this. Now, you guys know I've shown you the spiritual cities and the residents of the spiritual cities. But let's just look what people from their perspective are saying about indigo people. Are you a part of our soul family? Yeah. How many of you guys that watched me remember when this all first started coming out and people talking about it and being labeled these different types of people? Some people be like, oh, I got RH negative blood. My blood is RH. My blood is 0H. My blood is 0.05790% alcohol. Yeah. Well, let me show you this. So let's look at the traits of the indigo children that people are so proud of. Born between 1960 and 1990. Rebellious and warrior in spirit. Despises the system. Loves to isolate. Fond of addiction. Stubborn. Indigo children are really similar to the baby boomers of Generation X. They're rebellious and unable to conform to dysfunctional situations at home, work, or school. They are warriors in spirit. They want to rage against the corrupted system that governs society, and this trait projected itself into the art, the music, the movies, the movements, and the lifestyle of their youth. The indigos are here to destroy what's not working and pave the way for a better world. They experimented with psychedelic substances. They forced their mind to be open. And then people get mad when I say you was born into a demonic civilization, into a demonic kingdom. Yeah, Dark Waters, you can't say I was born into no demonic kingdom. How dare you say that about me? You're talking bad about me. Bruh, it's right there in front of you. Don't believe me? Let's just go look. Oh, let's see. So let's see what spirit cities these people could reside in. Let's go here. And it's not all of them. This is just the ones I've taken the time to run through. Sodom, sexual perversion, hatred of righteousness, pride, arrogance, neglect of fire, sexual Gomorrah, sexual immorality, rejection of authority. Check. Wait, let me go back to the other list so you can see. Rebellious in warrior spirit, despises the system, which is rejection authority, loves to isolate, fond of addictions, and stubborn. None of this crap that's listed is a positive. I mean, none of it's a positive at all. at all. No, I mean, if you were to sit here and try and tell me that any of these traits were a positive trait, then you are lying, no good, rotten scoundrel. But let's go back to our spirit cities. So we find pride and arrogance. We find rejection of authority. Sodom and Gomorrah, it's okay. That's not quite it. But when you come over here to Samaria, you find a lot of it. Corruption, cynicism, pride, arrogance. And so we have called good evil and evil good in this nation so long that people have accepted it. They've accepted this concept that, oh, I'm this way and it's fine. I'm an indigo child. No, you a damn alien. You a rebellious damn alien is what you is. And then when you come to the comments and you scroll down, you'll see, holy crap, that's me 100%. Sounds like me, although I look more like this. I saw a psychic before who said I was one. Born with 1,000-petal lotus is active. Yes, I am. That's me. That's me. Sounds about right. Yeah. And so you have these various different generations of people that are of spiritual cities that are not of the kingdom of God. And those people are inside the United States of America. Now, let's swing this into politics and look and see what's going on in politics. And you can clearly see this. Because let's just take, for example, what's going on in Washington, D.C. It shows you the different civilizations. Hold on, let's go look. Let's start with the people who were slaves of this system and were oppressed by these people in these systems. Talking about what's going on. You're going to notice that they're all races, colors, and religions that are sitting there saying, no, what's going on is great. Because they've been trapped inside this spiritual city environment that's been ruled and reigned by these type of people, and now they're getting freedom. Remember the Amistad, give us free. Give us free. Now they're getting freedom. But you got to understand, when you're in that atmosphere, people are almost afraid to speak out. This is why what was going on in 2020 to 2024, you saw I'll say this. The people who resisted the movement of 2020, which you know what that movement is, it has to do with doing this to you, are the strongest people on this planet. Because they resisted the whole world system coming down on them. A lot of those people were Christians. And this is why the whole world system wants to kill Christians everywhere they are. Because they know they're going to reject that worldly authority. And it's the spirit in them that rejects it. If the spirit of God is active in you, you reject all the rest of that foolishness. Because you're not of this world. You're out of this world. Are you alien? Yeah, you ain't of this world. And so you like, nah, I ain't doing none of that stuff you talking about. I could care less what you got to say. I don't trust you. And I ain't listening to you. But let me stop talking and you're going to listen to what these people got to say.
Donald Trump isn't just making D.C. safe again, he's making it healthy again, because I can finally go on my hot boy walks again. Because you want to know why I couldn't go on my hot boy walks before? Because I didn't know if I took a stroll in D.C. whether or not I would run into a gaggle of gangbangers, a cadre of criminals, or a youth who wanted to play patty cake with my forehead. But thanks to Donald Trump's leadership, I can finally go on these hot boy walks again. And look at me, I'm just walking around town, looking around. I'm the neighborhood watch today. Let a YN do something. I'm calling the feds. Donald Trump isn't just making...
That boy said I'm snitching. Now, I don't know what he mean by hot boy walk, but I feel like he a little. But nonetheless, that was funny. He said, "Let a YN do something today. I'm calling the feds," and that's what we need. That's what we need. But then you juxtapose that to Brandon Johnson, who doesn't want the feds coming into to Chicago. Why? Because that's the spirits that don't want those people set free. Let's go to the next person. Hold on. Here's a Muslim talking about how she feel about it. Here she is.
Hear from city leaders and others that crime is actually down. Are you seeing that?
No, I'm not seeing it. We're seeing carjackings. The violence in the communities. So we were advocating then for the National Guard to come out, but they said there was no need. But think about how many lives could have been saved just having them on the scene.
And Asia says still to this day, she's not heard from one detective about those crimes committed against her family. Now, for Tempe Satcher, another D.C. resident, her son B.J. was gunned down in a random drive-by shooting on the way to work 2 years ago, and she does not feel that crime has calmed down.
Just today, a young lady was shot over on 15th Street in Northeast D.C. Does that seem like crime gone down? With all the things that are going on with our president, sending the National Guards out, I don't have a problem with that personally, because if MPD can't do it and they need help, then I'm glad they're able to get the help.
See, it's people getting free from those systems. But their minds have to be transformed to understand that no. There is something other than what we've been living through. And see, as this happens, and I want you to understand, this is the liberation of Washington, D.C. See, once people get to live in an environment where there's not high crime, where there's not drugs, and once it switches and there's peace that invades the streets, they ain't voting like they used to vote no more. The reason why this oppression in cities happens, it's a demonic oppression, is because once you're in that oppressed environment, you don't know what it's like to be free. Once you're born into that oppression, you're born into that spirit city. You don't know. Watch this. Perfect example. When Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, people fled. They went all over the place. They went to Houston. They went to Dallas. They went to Austin. They went to Atlanta. They went to Jackson. They went to Miami. And then when they came back and you start hearing the stories, people were like, man, I ain't never going back to New Orleans. I'm never going back to New Orleans. And he was like, man, why are you not going back? Man, this is so much better. I didn't know this way of living existed. Because you got outside that oppressive bubble that was New Orleans, controlled by the Marine Kingdom of the waters. You got outside, you say, oh, hell, I could breathe. They got people walking dogs. I can go to bed at night and I don't have to worry about hearing a noise and getting up with a shotgun, loaded dragon breath slug. Oh, no, I ain't never going back. And you see, this oppression in these cities that's birthed out of the pride, that's birthed out of the arrogance, that's birthed out of the rebellion is being broken. And of course, the media is whining and complaining. The Democrats are whining and complaining because their strongholds are being broken. Yeah. When people pray against strongholds, you're praying against a spiritual stronghold, but there's a manifestation of that stronghold in a city. And when it's broken, these things happen. And so, the DC residents are happy. And all it takes is this. They need about 6 months of peace. 30 days of peace is enough to establish and move all that out of there. But if you give them 6 months to live in peace where they can walk down the streets and not be afraid, it will never go back that way again. They will vote out everybody because they've been accepting the fact that maybe this is just how things are. This is how things go. They've been broken. They had a bull ring put in their nose and they just being yanked around. But we'll keep going and look at more. Here's another person talking about it. And she's about to make a fantastic point. She's going to say the only people that are outraged are people from other states. That's because those other spirit cities and those other civilizations and those people from those civilizations are watching their stronghold be destroyed. And it's significant that Donald Trump started with Washington, D.C. He's sending a message to everybody. If I'm going to do this in Washington, D.C., boy, I want you to understand, I'm going to come do this to you. I'm going to run roughshod over you. Bad boy. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? No Smith. That's what's going on. Yeah, that's what's going on. And I like it. I like it.
I don't know if I should be saying this on the internet, but as someone who lives in DC, people in DC do not really care that Trump deployed the National Guard. Most people are quiet or like, or literally like, thank God. The only people I've seen outraged are people from other states. People in DC, quiet. I worked in a local election a few months ago. Mind you, this is the place that voted 90% for Kamala. And by far, the biggest issue for people was crime. People didn't care about anything else. People were going ham. I went to so many forums and people were like, what are you going to do about these badass kids? Lock them up and throw away the key. My personal favorite was, if they want to play with guns so much, send them to fucking Afghanistan. A lot of you probably are sitting there thinking a few different things. Number one, you're probably thinking is, oh, this is what the problem with gentrifiers is. Like, white people move to a city and complain about crime. No, the district I was working on was a primarily black district, like 80%. And no, I cannot speak for all of DC, but the group I am noticing this with is not a monolith. And when I noticed this, I even hit up some local politicians I know to make sure I wasn't tripping. I was like, wait, is it just me or does no one care? They're like, our constituents are happy. Mind you, like, I was born and raised here. Like, somebody was unalived on my front lawn when I was a child, and now the house is worth $1.4 million. And these are people who are just like that. Like, these are residents who are fucking tired. And don't mistake this video as me saying I'm for what he's doing. Again, everyone in my circle is extremely liberal. So a big thing I did on that political campaign was crime stats, and they were staggering, they were frightening. And I know MSNBC was fact-checking Trump, and they said that crime was down 30%. That is a little deceitful. Violent crime is down 30%. And they're only counting homicide as violent crime, and I've never seen anyone do that. Like, that is deceitful. And this is not me saying like, oh, they are justified, but it's more so like the numbers are deceitful. Like, I'm not scared of getting shot. I'm scared of them taking away my jacket. Like, I have a Canada Goose from literally 2014, and my friend's like, nobody wants to steal your 2014 Canada Goose. I'm like, they will. But yeah, no. FBI data, which they're using, is broken down into violent crime and property crime. And they're like assault, battery, homicides, robberies, and one more, or like, I don't even know if robberies are violent crime. They are only including homicides. Nobody here is scared of getting shot. And the thing is, even if homicides are down, the fear of being like assaulted, robbed, carjacked is still in your mind daily when you go into DC. It doesn't matter. Like, I know in the election, a big thing people were saying, like in the local election, like, it doesn't matter if crime is down if people don't feel safe. And people don't feel safe in DC right now. And it's funny because the only people I actually have heard that they say that they feel safe is like white people who live in Navy Yard, which is like not a place you should feel safe. Fun.
Now, oh, sweetheart, I don't want you looking like that. You look like you're having some kind of orgasm right there. Let me fix your face. There you go. This is a liberal telling you, and then she hasn't broke her programming, but she's sitting there basically saying, I don't have a problem with it. And this is what's going to happen with liberals. You see, the minute liberals realize that, oh man, the streets are safe, things are great, blah, 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 they have to make a better decision in their voting. Now, he can pull them all. If I was Donald, this is what I do, and I think this is what he's going to do. I think he'll go in there, he's going to fix it. He's going to tamper it down. He's going to arrest a bunch of people, and then he's going to pull them out of there and move them somewhere else. And then the locals are going to have to hold their local leaders accountable. When the kids go right back out into the street, acting a fool again, the people are going to say, well, y'all going to have to do something about this. And if I was down, I said, no, I'm not sending them. We working on something else. You have a local police department that need to handle this. But when you set this precedent that, no, it's possible to be done, and then pull it away, and then let the resident, you want the residents to see it. If I'm down, I'm doing it for 90 days. I'm going to give you 90 days of peace. So you can see the difference between having someone like me in office and someone else in office, and then pull them out. And when they come out of there, boy, them things going to come crawling back out. Kidnapped. And if they don't do nothing about it, they're all going to get unelected. They're all going to get unelected. They're all going to get unelected. And it's great to do it this way. It's fantastic to do it this way, in my opinion, because you know what? In 2026, midterm election comes and the local election comes. It's going to be your damn fault if you vote for them. Because you've seen the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They're about to have the greatest juxtaposition and choice that they could ever have. Now, they're going to make the right decision? I don't know. But I know one thing. People like her, who are hardcore liberals, who have some sense. She's sitting there saying, I'm not necessarily supporting him because she's afraid, probably because her whole audience is liberal. But people who have some sense, they're going to sit there and say, no, I'm going to be quiet, but I'm going to vote this way. Now, if they come out and attack her, she goes through the Streisand effect, which they probably will. That girl's going to become a hardcore conservative and be an activist. And so the way I see it, God don't lose when he be moving through men. And this is some divine strategy right here that's going on. Yeah, you can't occupy the city forever. You know what I'm saying? You can't do it. You got to turn it back over to people and let people do what they need to do. But when you turn it over, if they don't continue to do what's necessary, they look terrible. Absolutely terrible. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to be done, is the homeless encampments that are all over the place. We need to establish something and understand that allowing homelessness to run rampant literally spiritually curses those cities. You're supposed to take care of your neighbor. You know what I'm saying? So, well, DW, you know, him bulldozing the homeless camps is not taking care of your neighbor. And technically it is. Here's why. Because he gave him a choice. He said, you can leave town, or you're going to be arrested and put into a shelter or into a rehabilitation program. If you ever dealt with anybody who's homeless, like I donate to, never mind, that's none of y'all business. And I've met with people who run homeless programs. They'll tell you the worst thing that you can do for a person who's homeless is to enable them to live on the streets. The worst thing you can do is enable them to live on the streets. The worst thing you can do is give them a debit card, give them all the stuff, because it's cruelty to even give them $5. Giving $5 to somebody who's a methamphetamine or a fentanyl addict it's a death sentence for them. So what's the best thing to do for them? First of all, we're going to establish that you can't camp anywhere you want, because we're not going to allow you to do this. We're going to institute the rule of law. Second of all, we're going to grab you, and you got a couple of choices. You can leave town and go somewhere else, or I can put you in a shelter, in a rehabilitation program, or I can send you to a rehab program for mental illness and figure out what we can do to get you back into being a citizen of the United States of America and not a vagabond who's roaming on the streets. Not someone who's there enabled, just a roaming drug addict and roaming freaking psychopath, schizophrenic, and a danger to society. And so as you see the news talking crazy and people crying and whining, no. This is what you should do. They have to have a choice. And he's giving them a choice. Look, we can get you in a shelter, get you squared away, or you can go, we're going to send you to a place for people who are mentally ill. And what's happened is they've closed down the mental health facilities all over the United States and just basically released mentally ill people into the country. And so it's a fantastic thing. When I was a kid, they had mentally ill people. They got picked up and they went to the place where crazy people go. Charity Hospital was notorious for the number of people. I want to say it was a third floor charity where they put all the crazy people, because we acknowledged that people were crazy. But you can't see when you start to shift the concept and ideas of good being evil and evil being good, you can't arrest crazy people. You got to release them out and then tell everybody, okay, it's cool. They're that way. That's just how they are. But that supports this concept and idea of institutionalized craziness. A man can be a woman and a woman can be a man. That's institutionalized schizophrenia. And so if you're doing that publicly all over the news, then hell, the schizophrenic walking down the street, talking to himself, having an argument, standing in the middle of the sidewalk, punching at the air. Oh, you got to let him go. Yeah, you got to let him go. You got to immerse the cities in this craziness. And that's what we're dealing with. Listen to this. Listen to me good.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the U.S. Park Police, this is the oldest federal police force in the nation. They were formed in 1791 by none other than President George Washington. They've got the awesome responsibility of protecting our nation's most sacred monuments. The National Mall, Washington Monument, Jefferson Memorial, Lincoln Memorial, Statue of Liberty, and out west, the Presidio and the Golden Gate area. These folks have tens of millions of visitors a year, the kind of people that President Trump's talking about, that come from around the country and around the world to see our sacred and learn about our history and our sacred monuments. They've been doing a fantastic job, but they are so pleased, the rank and file, that President Trump is now allowing them to enforce the law. As those of you that live in the city may know, that the circles and the triangle parks that are spread throughout D.C. are actually federal park property. So the U.S. Park Police also have responsibility for that. These became littered with homeless camps under the Biden administration. All of you saw that. Since President Trump's executive order on March 27th, making D.C. safe and beautiful again, the U.S. Park Police have removed over 70 homeless camps. And President Trump also talked about beautification. They're stopping and enforcing the laws against graffiti on our monuments. They've removed over 80 specific attacks against our history with graffiti on our monuments. So they continue to do a great job, whether it's in their vehicles, on foot, or on the mounted police that you see around the National Mall. And President Trump, they thank you. The rank and file is so happy to be enforcing the law again. Thank you for your leadership, and they're excited about the announcement you're making today.
Thank you very much.
And that's what we are, man. I'm just telling you, that's what we are. It's the liberation of the United States of America from these spirit cities, these environments, and more importantly, these wicked politicians who are literally in league with Satan. If you haven't come to the realization that Democrats are either they're possessed by demons or they're working directly with demons, then I just don't know what to tell you, bro. I don't know what to tell you. And if you call yourself a Christian, black or white or whatever, and you support these people, man, you're going to have some stuff coming for you later on. You're going to have some surprises in store for you because it's laid bare before you right now. There's no way around it.